Hello, warriors. Welcome to the You movement. I am B. I feel like I should start this with Captain's Log, Start Date 1723. The reason why I say 1723 is that's how many days it's been since I had a spontaneous Kundalini. That equates to 4 years, 8 months, and 20 days. And wow, to say it's been going on for quite some time, it feels like a vast understatement. I am feeling a lot today. We are in new moon energy, and I gotta say, I'm not a fan of the new moons when they come in. It is highly triggering to somebody who has become as sensitive as I have to fluctuating energies. And the new moons for me usually bring in a lot of heart chakra pain, physical pain, which is heart chakra clearing. I have talked through hundreds of my videos at this stage about the amount of grief that begins to process. And literally within a few hours of having my Kundalini, I went from a state of absolute ecstasy to profound grief, and started, like, I was bawling my eyes out crying, which wasn't a normal thing for the old version of me, but became almost a daily ritual, you know? I think I cried more than I showered. And, well, actually, I know I've cried more than I've showered, because there were times on this awakening journey that I was bedridden and could barely function at all. And my mind would like to say, you know, hurry up already. Like, what is taking this so long? Spirit seemed to give me a snippet of what's to come by bringing in new people into my life, and then immediately turned right back around and plummeted me back into total isolation. So I've been in like total isolation for a long time. A really long time, and despite people saying join groups or do this or do that, when you're having a Kundalini awakening, you don't have the capacity a lot of the time, you don't have the bandwidth a lot of the time to even have conversation with people. So Spirit has concocted this, and as my like monk era, or as Craig Holliday called it, my ashram, my created ashram experience, my solo ashram experience. And I am aware that this is all for my highest and greatest good, but it's hard. It is hard. It is hard. I'm in the last few days in deep mourning, which is a slightly different energy than grieving. Yes, they go together, but in the grieving before, there was angst, there was longing, there was disbelief, there was confusion, there was bargaining, there was anger, And in the mourning, there is just kind of acceptance. And one of the things that I am accepting now is that my life did not or does not at all look like I wanted it to, I hoped it would. And one of the main themes on my awakening process has been my relationship to the concept that is love. And I feel like discovering that I was autistic made a lot of things I'd previously been completely confused about more clear. I'm very grateful to have that frame of reference now, because it makes me understand that I'm built different. And as I've said in many videos, whether you want to look at it through the lens of psychology and say autism or neurodivergence or anything else, any other psychological framework, or you want to look at it through the lens of spirituality and starseed, light worker, it kind of is like a Venn diagram, and there's so much crossover. And then let's also have a third circle, which is, CPTSD, because when you go your whole life not knowing that you're autistic or not knowing that you're a light worker, you just think you're a human that doesn't fit in, that doesn't belong, and try as you might to conform or mask to normality, it doesn't work. So I most of my life thought that there was something fundamentally wrong with me, because I would get very hurt when people treated me certain ways that I perceive as abusive. And it was like a programming that I should develop a thicker skin. In fact, my ex-husband used to say that to me all the time. You need to develop a thicker skin. Well, I don't know, but 130 pounds of extra skin still didn't prevent me from not feeling hurt when I was ridiculed or gaslit or mocked or insulted or raged at or triangulated against and all the other things. So developing a thicker skin didn't work. But I did that. I 100% did that. And for a long time, I thought that, I loved wrong because I was so open, honest, vulnerable. It seemed like however I was loving was too gullible. Too gullible. But I don't really feel like that anymore, because on this awakening process within the last 1,723 days, I've met Soul Tribe. And we share so many common themes, so many similar experiences of giving our hearts wholly to people who fumbled them, causing great heartache and pain. There seems to be an interpretation in society that those of us who love like we do are flawed. That because we don't have a thicker skin or won't tolerate certain things that are deemed as normal, that we are, defined as women who love too much. Therefore, the blame is on us. And that doesn't just mean women, but like it can go with men, And the one thing that I am learning on this process that is that my heart is unique. It is not normal. And if normal is the matrix at which humanity defines relationship, community, and our very, global way of interacting, then I'm glad that I'm not normal. I'm glad that I'm not normal. I look at society and I see what by definition is normal is hurtful, it's cruel, it's uncaring. And that breaks my heart even more. I don't feel alone in my suffering. And I no longer define myself as disordered from the norm, because my interpretation now through a spiritual framework says that what is normal, what is neurotypical, what is deemed acceptable is at its core what's wrong with this planet. The Black Eyed Peas came out with a song like, "Where is the Love?" And I've been searching for love my entire life. And in so doing, I've sought love in harmful places. I've morphed myself into trying to become socially acceptable. I've participated in the sexualization of myself. And I've masked the essence of who I truly am. In desperation to be cared for. And here I am at 53 in total isolation and learning to love the fuck out of myself and mourn the losses of countless relationships because I was never seen. And that's not their fault that they didn't see me, because how is anyone to see me if I'm masking? So it was kind of like a damned if you do and damned if you don't. If I showed myself for being weird, neurospicy, or as the freak that I am, I certainly heard that growing up enough, then that would result in ridicule and judgment by the very people that I was wanting connection with. And in dropping the masks that Kundalini forces you to drop, to rip down one after another, and all the identities that I previously hid behind throughout my life, the party girl, the femme fatale, the dutiful daughter, and more, many, many more. They all fall away and leave behind me. And who even is that? That is somebody who I'm redefining, no longer using the terminology or the language that has been the labels that have previously been used to box me in a framework with negative or distorted interpretation. You know, my mother labeled me as incapable. She labeled me as mentally disturbed because I had depression. She labeled me as unlovable. My cousins labeled me as deeply flawed human being for wanting to help other people on YouTube going through Kundalini. And then there were the labels that were never spoken, but surely felt. The labels through silence, the people that gave me silence, that says, you're nothing, you're no one. And so through this awakening process, I've stripped away defining myself through other people's eyes, defining myself through other people's expectations, defining myself through other people's gaslit realities, and for somebody that has spent their entire life being gaslit, that is one thing that I don't tolerate at all anymore. As I'm learning that my capacity for love, while seemingly judged as flawed and bizarre to other people, is a gift. It's a gift. It has felt like a curse most of my life to love the way that I do, with such openness. And I tried really, really hard to pretend that the things that hurt me didn't hurt me. To put up and shut up, to just wear a smiley face. I spent a decade walking around a foreign country as a single mom, holding it all in and smiling when inside I was in absolute agony. I would straighten my back and go for walks and pretend I was unbothered. The pretense of strangling oneself to communicate authenticity as to not make waves or call out people's cruelty cost me my health and my sanity. It's often felt like I am the sane one living in a sea of insanity. I used to joke when people would say, "You're insane." I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm insane. I don't know what the rest of you are in, but I'm in the sanity. I'm in the sanity because everything else around me looks like cruelty." I didn't understand how projection worked. I do now. I do understand that all those have judged me are confessing, not actually seeing me. They're no more than confessions. Whenever somebody says anything that says you, I'm like, oh, you're confessing about yourself. I no longer take and accept any projections. For some reason, unbeknownst to me, my soul decided to come and have this human experience. And I'm not the only one. That's what I've discovered, is that I have a soul tribe out there that have had similar horrific experiences of the worst of the worst, and gone through life coping with a multitude of misdiagnoses and mislabeling and mistreatment. And then God chose to wake up in us. Now, I don't think that God is stupid or flawed or insane. So for God to choose me, a lot of people throw around this word, the chosen. And the fact of the matter is, I am chosen. I'm not the chosen. I'm not, any different than anyone else, in the sense of we all have the choice. And when asked, are you ready to open yourself to God? I made the choice, yes. Therefore, I was chosen. And therefore, God chose to awaken in me. I don't think God would choose that if I was all those things that people said that I previously was. So for all of us who are having this experience, despite it feeling like a very long 1,723 days and a brutal breaking down of the old, it is a gift. God, Spirit, Kundalini, whatever you want to call it, chose to awaken in me. And because of that, I have gone through countless shifts in consciousness that wouldn't have been blessed upon me unless I had the capacity to love like I do. So despite the pain and the hurt of not receiving love back from those that I have given it to in my past life, I am receiving it from God. Yesterday was such a blessing because I asked for a sign and I saw the most spectacular double rainbow I've ever seen in my entire life. It was awe-inspiring. I was talking to a friend while I was seeing this, and I was taking pictures. If I hadn't been talking to her, I would have made a video, but I did take a lot of pictures, and it was breathtaking. That gave me hope. So even though I am still in mourning, mourning the loss of connection, the loss of relationship, the loss of people that I loved. Oh my God, did I love. There is only forward movement now. And it feels slow, and it feels constrained, and it feels painful. To sit in the feeling. To just place my hand on my heart space. And honor this heart. But our hearts do need to be honored because despite all the cruelty, the ridicule, the gaslighting, we still have the capacity to love. Whether you want to look at it from like Team Dark or Team Light, absolutely everything in my life tried to break my capacity to love and turn me into a liar, a narcissistic individual, a cruel person. And it didn't work. It didn't work. Despite all attempts to destroy me, I still love. I didn't close my heart. I showed up honestly, with integrity. And that's why God chose to awaken in me. and awaken in all of the rest of my soul tribe that have experienced what I've experienced. We didn't conform. We didn't shut down. We survived. And we still have the capacity to love. So for that, I honor each and every single one of you. Because it's this that changes the world. I don't know when. I don't know how. I don't profess to be anybody's guru. I just want to mirror back to you your value. I'm sending you so much love. Peace. Peace in.